There are hundreds of millions of Americans that have been impacted by medical decisions made over the past couple of years. But I'm pretty sure there's a secondary effect that you don't know about. Stick with me until the end, and I'll tell you what it is, and I'll also tell you how you might be able to stop it from happening to you. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of SOG TV. So, a few months ago, about July, I had to have back surgery, and it went great and everything. I mean, it sucked, but I can walk now. But that's not really what happened, or what the problem is. You see, 3 weeks after my back surgery, I thought I hurt something, so I ended up going back to the doctor. He checked me out and everything, and said that apparently I just inflamed everything. And so he gave me some anti-inflammatories and then gave me some tramadol. Well, then he sent me home. So I started the tramadol. I only took 2 a day, starting the day that they gave it to me. Well, fast forward until about Wednesday, I was having trouble remembering things on a text message. I couldn't remember a whole lot. I was sleeping forever. Well, the very next day, Thursday, I decided to go to church where I volunteer as security. And so I took my wife and my daughter with me. Well, we get to the church, and while we're in there and church is going on, all of a sudden everything started getting blurry. I didn't understand it. So I tried to walk it off, thought it would just come back. I thought I was having vertigo or something. Well, I ended up not getting better. So I go to my wife and I tell her that I'm not feeling good, that we probably need to go. And she said, okay. I don't usually say that, so she didn't even question me. But she asked me if I wanted her to drive, and I said yes. So I turned around and started walking off. Well, she asked me for the keys. And I stopped, turned around, I said, why? And she repeated, well, because you told me to drive. And I said, oh, okay. So I turned around and started walking back to the car again. And then she stopped me again. And I don't remember most of this. In fact, I don't remember any of it. She asked me for the keys again, and I asked her why again. And she said, well, because you told me that you wanted me to drive. So I gave her the keys, and she got in the driver's seat, and I got in the passenger seat, and my daughter got in. And the rest of this is according to my wife. So we're driving, and I keep on asking her what we're doing. And she said, well, do you want me to take you home, or do you want me to go to the hospital? And I said, what? She said, do you want me to take you home or to the hospital? I was like, why? And then she said, because you're not feeling good. I said, oh. And I never answered her, so she decided to take me to the hospital. We finally get to the hospital, which was only a couple of miles away. And we stop, and I get out, and I ask her again, what do you want me to do? She said, go inside. I'm like, why? She said, because you're not feeling well. Go inside. And I said, well, what do I tell them? And she said, just tell them you're not feeling well. Just explain what's going on now. And so I went inside, and she follows in behind me. I don't remember what was said, but she hears me telling them that I'm not feeling well. And then they asking me some questions. Well, they asked me my name. I couldn't tell them. They asked me my birth date. I couldn't tell them. I had no idea. And so they then asked me, well, who the president is. Normally, I'd have a sarcastic answer, but I didn't. I had no idea. So they start asking me what I've done, what I've taken, and I explained to them. My wife explained to them. And then they left and came back, and they said, they said, well, how long have you been taking this tramadol? And I stated, well, or I didn't say, sorry, my wife stated. She said, well, since Friday, which was about 6 days earlier than that. And then he said, has he been taking all of his other medicine? And she said, yes. Well, apparently there's this other medicine that I take that is it's a PTSD medicine, and it's supposed to just calm me down. It's nothing real strong or anything like that. Well, they said, yeah, there is a high drug interaction with these two medicines. If you cannot take them together, it causes extreme narcotic effects and disorientations, and it also causes major heart attacks within men. And she said, they said this thing can kill you. So they instantly put Narcan through me and stuff. And after that, I guess my wife leaves. And then I called her like 4 times asking her where she was. And she ends up coming back. That was 2 hours. Had no idea. Well, while I'm sitting there, I'm still asking her why we were there. I had no idea. I was confused, completely delirious. And then, we stay there for a couple hours, and I get better enough to where I actually know who I am now, and things start making sense. Well, we go home, and I don't remember that we went home on a Friday. I don't remember that day at all. In fact, I don't remember for probably a week after that, but I remember how I felt, and I felt completely lost and confused. Well, Saturday comes around, and I start thinking, I start getting a little more cognition back. I'm like, I haven't taken my gabapentin in 3 days. And so my wife looks it up, and it says that you start having withdrawals in 12 hours after having not taking gabapentin. Well, so I started taking my gabapentin again, but it felt like my skin was being ripped off, and everything was closing in on me. I mean, and light started bending in front of my eyes. I mean, I was having all these effects. Well, my wife told me what the doctor told her was that I was about to die if I wouldn't have gone in there, because it'd been slowly drugging me over the past few days, and it was impacting, and it finally came to a head on that day. But if I wouldn't have gone to the hospital, I would have died. Well, it takes another week before all this gets out of my system, a week and a half. And I'm telling you this stuff because I shouldn't have ever taken them pills together. My doctor's office should have told me about it. And then the pharmacy should have caught it, because I go to the same pharmacists. I told everybody what my prescriptions are, and they're supposed to know all of it. And so, under the advisement of a few friends and an attorney friend of mine, said that I really need, and a doctor friend of mine told me too, that I really needed to seek legal counsel. So I called a couple of attorneys, and they told me specifically that unless there is a major effect of something that a doctor does or a hospital does, like you lose an arm, somebody dies, they're not going to touch it. It's not worth it to them. And they said their exact quote was, according to these attorneys, you cannot expect the pharmaceutical industry or doctors to be liable for negligence. So the only thing you can do is do your own research. Don't expect them to tell you what might or might not happen when you intermix drugs. You've got to do it yourself. Yeah, are they supposed to? Yes. But that's not how it works anymore. I mean, I went to the ER once for thinking I had a stroke, and they were going to do a COVID test on me, and I refused to take it, and she told me I had no choice. Is that legal? No. Nobody would do anything for it. So do your own research. Stand up for yourself. And that being so, I did start doing some researching lobbyists. People like to complain about the government and about Big Pharma and the oil industry and everything else. It's lobbyists. Why aren't we seeing anybody picketing lobbyists? If lobbyists weren't allowed to be who they are, then the government wouldn't be incentivized to make certain laws, to make money off of passing a law. Why aren't we fighting that? Did you know that for every one lobbyist that's in the oil industry, there are 15 lobbyists in the pharmaceutical industry? 15. That's not a walk in a park. That's a lot. Not only that, but most countries throughout the world don't even allow pharmaceutical companies to advertise. And yet in America, they take over most of the advertisements. I believe they take up like 75% of advertising money comes from the pharmaceutical industry. That's a lot. And then a good percentage of our doctors' offices, sorry, not doctors' offices, medical schools are owned, at least in part, by pharmaceutical companies. In the early 1900s, we weren't using pharmaceuticals to heal most things. We were able to use non-pharmaceuticals, natural. When you went to the doctor, they'd ask you what your diet's like, and then they'd have you change your diet if it's causing a problem, not giving you a drug. Have high cholesterol and go into the doctor's office. They'll try to put you on cholesterol medicine. Arthritis, put you on arthritis medicine. There's a pill for everything. And that's our problem. There's a pill for everything. They don't care that it's not actually helping the problem. I was taking Lyrica for fibromyalgia, and after about 1.5 years, I realized I'm hurting worse than I ever did without the Lyrica. So I read the bottle for the first time because I was trusting that they were giving me something that would help me. And the side effects of Lyrica are way worse than fibromyalgia itself. So I quit taking it. I didn't know years later when I got on gabapentin that gabapentin was basically like doing the same stuff Lyrica was. It was just way dirtier, way worse for you. If you want to stop Lyrica, don't quit it cold turkey. The side effects of quitting cold turkey, the withdrawals, is equal to that of alcoholism. And I will tell you that I've watched a person that I arrested when they went into jail. The very next day, they were literally wiping their feces on the wall. They were going through alcohol withdrawals. It rots your brain. And these are the drugs they give us that do stuff like that. Well, I got off Lyrica, and lo and behold, I'm hurting a lot less. So since these incidences, I got off most of my medicines. I just quit taking my anti-inflammatory last night. Weaning myself off that. We need to start looking into natural stuff. Start going to a functional medical doctor. I have a great one, Mark Sherwood, here in Tulsa. You can get healthy cheaper and easier with all the side effects without having to take 10 pills. There's a lot that needs to be fixed in this country, but we need to start working on ourselves first. Should be simple. Yeah, I appreciate y'all listening to me. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that bell so you get notified anytime I upload. God bless.